Hello everyone, I'm Jessica.
I'm Emmalynn.
And today we are coming at you with 24 books we want to read in 2024. 12
Clever,
each.
original, you know us.
Now, are these the only books we want to read in 2024? Obviously not. But these are the ones we are determined to make a priority.
Yes.
Okay, the first book I'm going to talk about is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This is the first book in the Letters of Enchantment duology. Is it a duology?
Yes.
So this follows our two main characters who are like, aren't they rival authors or something?
So this follows
Emmelynn's read it.
Iris
so
and Roman, who are two writers. They're at the same company, but they're rivals because they're both competing for the same position. They're currently interns for a newspaper company. And so they've just been writing countless articles and like, who's our better, they're going to get the spot. And there's also this other thing going on. Iris's brother Forrest is off at war between these two gods. They like used to be married or something, and now they're like having a war against each other.
Okay.
So he's off fighting for one side. And one day, Iris is writing letters to her brother, and it like goes under a wardrobe or something, and it disappears. And so she's like, oh, they must be going to Forest. Well, actually, all these letters are appearing under Roman's wardrobe, and one day he decides to write back. And it's kind of like a You've Got Mail thing, because he figures out that it's her, but she has no idea, and she's like falling in love with him, through the typewriter, but she's annoyed with him because she wants his position.
Okay, so that's my first book. My second book is also one of Emmelynn's books.
Ruthless Vows.
That she is currently reading, right?
Yes. I stayed up a little late, but I couldn't sleep in the first place, so it was fine, and then it actually helped me go to bed. But it's so good so far. I was really nervous about the sequel living up to the first book because that's always terrifying, especially with duologies, because sometimes sequels are better than the first book, but sometimes they're much worse. And since this is the ending to the story, I was scared. But I'm loving it so far. Very fast. I love her writing so much.
Number 3 is the book I'm currently reading, well, one of them, and that is the third book in the Farseer trilogy by Robin Hobb, Assassin's Quest. So, I can't really say a whole lot about this book because it is the third book in a trilogy, but this book is still following our main boy, Fitz, whose life just perpetually sucks day after day. When you think he is finally going to be winning in life, oh no, he is not. So, if you are looking for a fantasy book that is heavily character driven and has a lot of emotional elements, because it's like a saga of Fitz's life basically, and it starts with him as a child, now he's an adult, and all of the trials and tribulations that he faces as a bastard of a prince who would have been king, but he died. So, which isn't a spoiler.
No.
But it's just his life and hardships that he has to try to come to terms with as, like, being a part of this family, but not really being an asset to this family, but, like, only when they want to use him. But Robin Hobb's writing is beautiful. It's very emotional. It is a little on the slower side because it's a constant building of emotions, but I'm hoping to finish that by the end of the month.
Okay, next up for me is Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, and I've been really wanting to read this ever since Mother read it, but I've just put it off for some reason. It
doesn't deserve that.
No, but I want to be in the right headspace because I know it's not a book you can, like, rush through. And I know it's not a book that's going to, like...
It's kind of a book you savor.
Yeah. And not fully out of my slump to appreciate it enough. but I think the time is coming, and I'm very excited, and I definitely want to read it, so when she's done with the second book, I can read it. This follows Emily Wilde, who is a professor writing an encyclopedia on fairies, and she's
The
like...
first of its kind.
Yeah. She's so original. And she's kind of more of an introvert, secluded, and people don't really warm up to her very much. She doesn't know why. And then one day during her research, someone kind of interrupts her, disturbs her research, who is someone that she knows, and that's all I'll say because that's all I know.
Book on my list is The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. This comes out in April, and all I know is, first of all, it's by Leigh Bardugo. I like Shadow and Bone. I love Six of Crows. I haven't read Ninth House and Hellbent. I feel like I tried to read Ninth House a long time ago when it first came out, and it was just a little too dark and gory for me. So I'm excited to see how this one goes for her, because this is an adult fantasy as well. But this happens during the Spanish Golden Age, so I thought that was like interesting because you don't see a lot of historical fantasy set during that time period. But it follows the main character, who is like a servant in this house of nobility, and she has a bit of magic, and her employer discovers that she has this bit of magic, so she is going to like use her and her magic to help her like gain standing in society. I don't really know a whole lot more, but it just sounds really intriguing given the period of time that it takes place in. Kind of, it's giving me like a little bit of Downton Abbey vibes. So yeah, I'm excited to read that when it comes out in April.
Okay, my next book is something that you have too, which is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. This is the fourth book in this from my archive series.
It's just literally weighing on me.
I have read half of this, and I could tell you everything that's going on right now, and I started it like
a year ago,
2 years ago, as soon as it came out. And then I was like, Emmalynn, you're so dumb. Why are you starting this right now when the next book doesn't come out for like 2 to 3 more years? Yep. And so I stopped, which like shows that I have a good-ish memory, but also shows that maybe not a lot has happened in the 500 pages I've read that I remember everything that's happened.
But since he announced the new book is coming out at the end of the year,
definitely want to finish it. And I think I will just go ahead and read it, and I can watch like a recap video. Nothing like I can really tell you about the series because there's so much going on and there's so many POVs. It's good. It's high fantasy. Every book is at least 1,000 pages. Look into it. See if it's
an investment, but it is worth it.
It's not hard to understand,
but it is a time commitment.
It's just a lot.
Yeah. The next book on my list is a series that I have been reading for probably 10 years. I'm not exaggerating. No one ever talks about this. You probably haven't heard of it, but it is the MaCarrian Series, which is by an author named Jane Casey, who I believe is Irish. But her first book in this series came out in, 2011. So it has been over 10 years. But this is like a detective series of a girl named Maeve Kerrigan that is a homicide investigator. And the main reason that I'm like so invested in this series is because her partner, whose name is Josh, they've had like this tension of a relationship for the entire time. Like, they hate each other, and then they kind of get like in better standing, and then something happens and they hate each other again, and now there's like this tension where you're just like, I think they're gonna get together, I really do, but like I need to see if it's gonna happen. So if you like a slow burn of a relationship sprinkled in to a good detective series, I highly recommend.
Okay, my next book, it's kind of two, but like, anyways, it's The River Enchanted duology. I hope to read both, but just with the first one because we're just going to set that small goal. We'll see how I like it, and then we'll read the second one. But I'm sure I'm going to love this. It's Rebecca Ross. I understand the hype.
Isn't there like a bard as the main character? And I love that.
So we
like
follow
a troubadour
Jack,
situation.
Jack, who is a bard, and he hasn't set foot in his town for 10 years. But one day someone contacts him and says, young girls start to go missing, and he goes back to his town and is reunited with like his childhood best friend rival something situation. They don't really get along now, but she is like the heir, the mistress of magic pretty much. And he is a bard, and she kind of figures out how to solve this crime of sorts, and so they work together and realize that they work better together than against each other.
I don't have a specific book for my next one. I just really want to read this year a Stephen King book. I feel like, I mean, what am I doing with my life that I'm 30 years old and I still haven't read a Stephen King book, you know? And so I feel like Billy Summers might be a good one to dive into.
Little one.
It seems like maybe I don't want to read anything horror or gory. Like, a little horror would be okay, but I don't want to read it, so don't even suggest that. Billy Summers would be an option. Fairy Tale maybe would be an option. Misery, I already know the premise of that book. I think I've seen the movie a long time ago, so that might be an option. But if you have a favorite Stephen King book that you think is a good place to start, let me know, and I will check it out, because I'm kind of just going off of Billy Summers because Haley Pham liked that book, honestly. So, let me know if you have any recommendations.
Okay, my next one is A Fragile Enchantment by Alison Saft, who wrote A Far Wilder Magic, which I haven't read and I've owned forever, and it's probably been on every TBR video that I've ever posted. Anyways, so I got this as an ARC, and the cover, I mean, I'll put them all on here, but she's gorgeous. She's what inspired me to read this. She's what made me place the request. And this follows a dressmaker who's making, I don't know if it's just the wedding dress or everyone's clothes for the royal wedding. And she gets caught up in the scandal that she's in love with the groom.
Yikes.
And then stuff happens from there.
Imagine.
Yeah, she has magic in her blood that like ties her emotions to the things she makes. I love that kind of stuff. I feel like this is going to be what I wanted Flower Heart to be.
Oh, yeah. Which I just deleted from my TBR, by the way.
That's sad. But just the cover, the Regency vibes. Also giving like Half a Soul vibes, just with the Regency, the spring, the magic. I don't think they're fae, but that doesn't matter. Anyways, I could talk about the way this looks forever. I don't know that much about what it's about. It's out now, but I have my ARC for another month, so I'm going to read that.
Good call. Okay, the next book on my list is the third book in the Housemaid series.
Oh my gosh, how did I not?
And that is called The Housemaid is Watching. I don't even know. Okay, like I literally just read the synopsis of this. I didn't even need. Yeah, I didn't even need to know what it was about to add it to my list because I'm obsessed with these books. But I just read what it was about, and it is not. It's a turn of events. She is not a housemaid anymore. She is married. She has kids. And she is suspecting of her neighbor's housemaid, is what it sounds like. Mm-hmm. So, she sounds a little sussy. So, maybe she's up to no good. Maybe her employer's up to no good. I don't care.
Maybe they're both
read it.
up to no
I'm gonna read it. Like,
if this one isn't on Kindle Unlimited for some reason,
I don't
will
care.
cry.
I will buy it.
No, we'll just be sad because I want it immediately.
I think it will be, because everything she writes is,
Yes.
which I
It's just
really
like
appreciate.
a fear of mine.
Frieder McFadden, if you're watching this, I really appreciate that everything you write is like Kindle Unlimited. Okay, next.
Okay, next up I have Nothing Like the Movies, which is the sequel to Better Than the Movies, which is coming out this year. I'll put all the release dates on here because I don't have them memorized.
Oh, yeah.
I think it comes out in October. September or October. Better Than the Movies follows Wes and Elizabeth, who just goes by Liz. And he's boy next door, kind of enemies to lovers. I hate when they say, like, enemies in contemporary, because it's just, like, your life isn't at stake. But for lack of better
words.
Maybe
if you're, like, dueling drug dealers or something.
That has nothing to do with this. But there's, like, a new boy at school, kind of, and she wants Wes to help her, like, be cool because she really likes him. And then, of course, you can guess what happens. But I love Lynn Painter so much. Her books are hilarious, and I feel like she does a really good job depicting what teenagers are actually like, instead of just, like, if you looked up teenager stereotype from, like, 20 years ago. So, yeah.
The book on my list is The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. I've heard so many people say this is, like, her best book, or it's the best book they've ever read, which is crazy. I've had this book for years, but honestly, I haven't read it because the cover that I have is just absolutely hideous. So I just keep putting it off. But this is a standalone romance. And I think it's kind of more like a Regency time period, too. But it just follows our main character. I think her name is Valencia or something like that. How would you say that? Valency?
Valency? I don't
Valency?
know. That sounds
Anyways, she's in, like, an overbearing family. I think they're, like, rushing her to get married. And she just wants to be happy, you know, as we all do. And so she's, like, on her journey to happiness according to her own standards, and romance to her own standards. So I definitely want to read that. It's not even very long. I don't know why I keep putting it off.
My next book is Destroy the Day by Bridget Kimmerer. And this is the last book in the Defy the Night trilogy, which I thought was a duology. Hopefully Carrie can read.
Oh, that's so for you.
So I was like, I remember reading the second book and being like, I'm like getting really nervous. Like, nothing is working out. I have a chapter left. Like, what is going on? Is this just going to be like they all die? And then it was like, next year, Destroy the Day. And I was like, oh. That makes more sense. So Defy the Night follows this girl, don't remember her name, and she's kind of like an apothecary living paycheck to paycheck, very poor, and there's this disease going around where they have to give out these, like, moonflower medicine things, but the, like, kingdom is pretty much hoarding them and only giving them to the rich people. And so they kind of, like, steal them and distribute them to the poor people in the middle of the night. And there's this other guy that helps her do it. It's dual POV. And we quickly learn that he is him, but he's also the prince. Oh. And he leaves the palace at night to help her distribute things. And
so he's like Robin Hood, kind of.
Yeah. And one day she gets, like, trapped in the castle, and she's like, you are not who I thought you were. I hate you. You're dead to me. And it's just, I love them. It's so great. Little YA books.
Okay, the next book on my list is, again, more of a author that I'm wanting to read instead of a specific book, but that's Ann Patchett. Now, let me just say, we used to live like an hour from Nashville, okay? And we would go to Trader Joe's, and across from Trader Joe's was Parnassus Books. And did I know at the time that Parnassus Books was Ann Patchett's bookstore?
What?
No, I did not, but I do know that now, and I'm like,
and we're gonna go.
Why didn't we ever go? But we will go when we move back to the South.
Yeah.
Anyways,
so cool.
I want to read something by her. I feel like she's kind of like an iconic author that everyone should read at least one book by.
Classics
The
of
fact
this
that she
age,
lives in Nashville is like makes me want to read her even more. But I specifically have heard a couple of people talk about Tom Lake and the audiobook specifically because Meryl Streep narrates it, and that could just be a really good vibe. I know it's a story of like a mother telling her daughters kind of like her life story, so you know, that really gets me too. And so maybe that's the one I'll read by her this year, but I do want to read something by her.
Okay, my next book is Funny Story by Emily Henry. And I know nothing about this, so that's all.
It's by Emily Henry.
I just know, like, it's a new trope. You know, she does a new trope every time, which I really appreciate. She's always trying something new, and I just love her books so much. I think she's a very funny individual.
Okay. Book on my list is kind of the same thing. I would read anything that Courtney Walsh writes. I'm going to go back on her backlist and read literally everything she's ever written. But this year she is releasing a book called The Summer of Yes, and it comes out in July. And this is like, I love this trope so much. It follows a young girl who's kind of like, she sounds like a stick in the mud, and she's like, oh, I'll do that later. And so she never really does anything fun. And then she has like this near-death experience, and she's like, I'm not going to be like this anymore. I'm going to start saying yes to things. And while she's in the hospital from her near-death experience, she meets this older lady who has been really successful in her life and her career, but she's undergoing some major health issues. And so they kind of make this pact together that they're going to go on like this journey to do all of the things that they want to do together. And it's going to be the Summer of Yes. And that just sounds adorable.
I love books with old people.
Me too.
Like, it's like a different kind of found family that I just love so much.
I do too. Okay.
Next up, we have Powerless, and I also don't know what this is about.
I know it's like I know there's vampires. I think
I didn't know that.
Wait. Let me confirm.
I just know that Haley Pham read it, and I trust her on most fantasy things. And all the classic booktube girlies are reading
they
it.
are. It doesn't say that.
I know there's like some kind of
that.
trials, which is my favorite thing in fantasy books. It just makes it go by so fast. I love it. But
haven't people said like it's the Hunger Games, but I don't know.
I feel like I'm getting Serpents.
Oh right, I'm getting that confused.
Oh no, vampires.
Okay, I don't know what this is about then.
It's okay. The cover's cute, isn't it? Okay, moving on.
Okay, the last book on my list, which I feel like has been on multiple of my TBRs. Okay. It's fine. Something about this book just kind of intimidates me, and I don't know what it is. There's like this video game element, and like that's kind of the main theme of the story, but I'm sure you can guess what I'm talking about. Tomorrow by Gabrielle Z. It was the Goodreads Choice Award winner for 2022. And I just need to bite the bullet and read it. Everyone that has read it has loved it. So why have I not read it? I don't know.
Okay. My next book is Mistborn.
Oh, I know what it's about.
I know there's like magic with metals.
Mm-hmm.
But I trust my boy Brandon. And honestly, fantasy books, I feel like the synopsis are like a paragraph long. And I don't want that information ahead of time.
It's fair.
You give me like a few of the tropes, a cool cover. This does not have a cool cover. I mean, it's okay. And I'm set. So Mistborn.
I've heard people say it's like if you're wanting to get into Brandon Sanderson's writing, it's a good one to like.
It seems like a good mix of like I mean, Metals made me think there's like a somewhat sci-fi vibe.
Yeah.
But fantasy.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, then we have House of Roots and Ruin, which is the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrow, which I bought as soon as it came out because I really wanted the sprayed edges. And I never read it.
Which I'm very surprised by.
I don't know. It's
Did
just
you kind of forget about it or
just
something?
a little big compared to the little paperback.
But is the font big?
I don't know. I just haven't been feeling it, and I need to, like, look up a recap of House of Salt and Sorrows so I know, like, which sister this one's about, but it's about one of the sisters. If you don't know, this is, like, a gothic, kind of paranormal 12 Dancing Princesses retelling. I love Erin A. Craig's writing. It's dark, but, like, still so beautiful.
Yeah, very fairy tale-esque. For sure.
Oh, it's still my turn. Last but not least, I want to finish the Harry Potter series. And this is, like, something that I don't talk about because it's, like, kind of embarrassing. I've never finished all the books because I feel like when I read something, I just am always craving something new. And I know this is, like, such a comfort series. And I love it when I'm reading it. But, like, getting myself to read something that I already know the story is very hard for me. But this is the year. Those are all the books I want to read because, well, I know there are more than 12 because I have, like, 2 to 3 series on there. But, like, I just hope to read the next of the series as a starter pack.
Okay.
And then I have, like, backup if I like it. Can't just have only standalones, you know? Then you're left wanting more.
Yeah. Okay. Don't forget to let us know in the comments. 1, is there a Stephen King book you recommend? 2, is there an Anne Patchett book you recommend? And 3, is there another book you recommend that you think we should try to get through this year? Or another series? We're always looking for a new series. You know, you can just never be in the middle of too many series.
Never.
Series. So, anyways, we hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, maybe you could like it or something, or subscribe if you want to. Anyways, we'll see you in our next video. Bye-bye.